Hello everyone, I am Rajesh. In the last tutorial we have seen something about the assembly language programming for the FRDM development board, and we have seen through the debugging steps of this board by using Field Microvision. And in this tutorial we are going to see something about more instructions used in assembly language programming and some assembler directives. Assembler directives are used to make our program look more effective, and today I am going to concentrate on this move instruction and load and store instruction. I am writing a simple program. You can see move s r1 comma hash 0x20. As we all know that this instruction will move the 20 hexadecimal number to the register r1. Now what if we want a number more than say 24 bit or 25 bit number? If you want to load some 24 bit or 32 bit number into a register, how we are going to load that into a register? For that we use the instruction like this 0x 2000 3000. And this instruction, here we can see there are 8 numbers in this one, 2000 3000, and each number corresponds to a hexadecimal number, and each number can be represented in 4 bit form. 2 can be represented as 0010 and 3 can be represented as 0011, and each of these zeros can be represented as 4 zeros individually. On the whole we have 8 into 4 32 bit number here. We are representing this 0x in front of this number to make this hexadecimal quantity. Now let us see what happens when we are going to compile this program, and we can see that we have got an error. Immediate 0x 2000 3000 out of range for this operation. Permitted values are 00000 to ff. That means we can load at a time only up to 0 to 255 into a register with the help of this so called immediate addressing mode. So we already know that placing hash in front of a number will make this the immediate addressing mode of operation. In this immediate addressing mode of operation, the maximum number that is allowed to load into a register is 0 to 255. Now what do we do if we want to load some higher value greater than 255 into the register directly? If we want to load some value greater than 255 into a register, that value needs to be stored in some other register or in the memory location. There is no way that a register can hold such a large value with the help of this immediate addressing mode. So the only way is to have some data of 32-bit capacity in memory location. Now we are going to deal about this memory location and loading and storing instructions. So when it comes to loading, in microcontroller language, loading always refers to getting data from memory and placing that data in a register, and storing always refers to getting a data from register and storing it into the memory location. In other words, we can say loading always refers to the register loading data, and storing always refers to storing of data in memory. Now we are having different type of instructions for loading and storing, loading from memory and storing into memory. There are LDR instruction, LDM instruction, LDMIA instruction, LDMIB instruction, and STR instruction, STM instruction, STMIA instruction, STMIB instruction. And this instruction, LDR is load register and LDM is load multiple, LDMIA is load multiple increment after, LDMIB is load multiple increment before, and conversely for store. Now we are going to see each and every instruction one by one. LDR R1 comma. We have seen that LDR loading and storing instructions always refer to memory location. That means we are supposed to give some memory address for this instruction for loading or storing. We should keep in mind that loading and storing always deals with memory operations. Memory in the sense either it could be random access memory or read only memory. To load the data from memory or to store a data into a memory, we need some address. So that address needs to be specified in some other register. And as we all know that these addresses are of 32-bit capacity and they cannot be directly stored into a register. For that purpose, we have got some identifiers, some instructions called assembler directives. So now we are going to see some assembler directives that are going to be used in our microcontroller development code language. Now I am going to name a variable called num and I am going to use EQU and I am equating this number to say 2000 and 3000. Now num EQU will make the variable num to be equal to the number 0x 2000 3000 in hexadecimal form. So by this way we can directly load a 32-bit number into a variable, and with the help of this variable we can directly load this value into some other register as and when required, and that we are going to see now. LDR R0 comma. Now we want to have this reference. Now we are going to use here the reference as is equal to num. So is equal to num makes the value of the num that is equal to 0x 2000 3000 and that is being loaded to the register R0. In this way we are going to directly move a 32-bit number into a register without the use of moveS instruction. moveS instruction limits the usage to 0 to FF only. Now that we have got the value 2000 3000 in R0, now we can move this value to some other register, say R1. With the help of this equal directive, we are going to load some 32-bit 32-bit data into a register directly. And in case of ARM Cortex M3 processor or M4 processor, there is a provision to directly immediately address some 16-bit data. Up to 16-bit data they can directly address into a register, whereas the upper 16-bit data is to be sent by some other instruction called MOVT. That is not valid for this ARM Cortex M0 Plus processor. ARM Cortex M0 Plus processor have relatively less number of instructions, less number of move operations, less number of addition operations, less number of loading operations compared to ARM M3 and M4 processors. Now we are going to see some other assembler directive that are going to be used. So one such directive is DCD. And before going to the DCD directive, I want to say you something. Now, say if you want to store some number into a memory, or if you want to load some number from a memory, so there needs to be some definite memory location that is defined for that purpose. That means, as we all know that this area is called the code memory and it is of read-only capacity, and this entire code resides in this code memory which is called read-only memory. Now if we want to take data from this read-only memory, we can take data, but there is no provision to write data to the code memory when the program is getting executed. In the same way, if you make a section, if you make a area of code with read write capability, then we can read data from the memory and write data into the memory. So with the help of random access memory, we are going to achieve read and write operations. With the help of read only memory, we are going to achieve only read operation. That means read only memory will allow only LDR instructions to use, and random access memory allows both LDR and STR instructions to be used. Now we are going to see what makes difference in this. Now I am going to have a number num1 BCD. So prior to this one, I am going to create a section here. I already said that this code memory is of read-only capacity and this data memory is of read-write accessibility, and I am giving a different name from this one. If we give the same name, say area, prog, data and read-write, then this on this will become same, and whatever the data we are writing underneath this area directive comes under this code memory only. It will not go into the data memory because we have not distinguished the name with read-only memory. So this is to be taken care of while defining memory areas in your program. Now I am going to write a label called num1 and bcd, say ampersand 21 0x 35 and 335. I am trying to define three numbers 21, 35 and 335. Ampersand in front of a data makes it a hexadecimal number. Instead of 0x we can write ampersand, so that this ampersand 21 will make the data look like 21h, and this 0x35 will make the data look like 35h, and this 335 will make the data look like that is hexadecimal equivalent of 335. Now I am going to use this memory location in the main program. So I am going to write here num1, or let it be like this. I will change here LDR R1 comma equal to num1, and we may get a doubt that what happens if we write instruction like this LDR R2 comma equal to num. So both way we will try now, and we will see what is going to be the difference between this instruction and this instruction. So here we have written LDR R1 is equal to num, LDR R2 comma num. Now so thinking that a data has been written at this memory location, now I try to load the data, say hash 441 and LDR R1 comma R4 comma R1. So this is the syntax for LDR instruction when we are using two registers. This is the syntax for LDR instruction when we are dealing with the labels or addresses. So num here will give the direct value that is stored for, that is assigned for this num variable, but in this case it will give the address of the num1 where it is pointing to, and this LDR R4 comma R1 will make the data transfer from the R1 location to the register R4. Here we have to see that this data transfer is from right to left. So in most of the microcontroller assembly language programs, the data flow is from right to left. So the source operands will be on the right side, destination operand will be on the left side. But in ARM microprocessor, there is a slight change for some other instruction, and we are going to see it very soon in this tutorial. Now I am going to compile this program, and we have got an error. Okay, I am going to change this to 44. Example.o with respect to num1. Okay, so it is saying that relocation in example with respect to num1 value 0x7FFF out of range. So this is not valid in this case. Now we are going to make it a comment. We are going to deal with this instruction later. I will show you how to deal with that instruction. Now that we have compiled our program, we are ready to go into the debug session. So here it is saying that no debug unit device found, error, flash download failed, target DLL has been cancelled, because we have not connected our Freedom development board to this PC now. we are not able to go to the hardware debugging mode. We are supposed to only enter into software debugging mode. But prior to going to software debugging mode, one change must have been noticed here. So this was the change. Yesterday in the last tutorial we have changed this one to the active statements. Now we are going to disable these statements again because we are going to debug the program by using Keil Microvision in software mode only. We have disabled these two statements now, and we are going to change the option simulator option. We are going to use simulator. Earlier it was CMC DAP debugger when we have connected the ARM development board. Now it is use simulator option. Now we are going to again rebuild this program. Again we are going to enter into this debug session. Now we can see I am clicking on this run button directly, so that now the current executing location, current to be executed location is at this point, and our breakpoint is at this point. If you click on run, it will run up to some point until unless a breakpoint is encountered. If the breakpoints are not encountered, it will go on executing up to infinity. So we have set a breakpoint here. Now the execution should stop at this location, and this location is not supposed to be executed. It has to be stopped at this location before executing this address location. Now we can see that this arrow mark is at this location, LDR R0, PC. So you can point out this instruction by your mouse pointer here. So this is the instruction that is being executed at this point now. In software mode, one change we must notice is that we might not get the progress in this window. Rather, we will get the progress of execution only in this disassembly window. But in case when we are going to have the hardware debugging, we might get that progress of execution in this window as well as in this window too. But in simulator mode, we are going to see the progress of the execution in this window only. We will not get any arrow marks like this in this main window. Now we are going to execute step by step. So first step is LDR R0 is equal to num. As we already seen that num will be assigned with a value 2000, 3000 hexadecimal, and that is going to be loaded directly to R0. You can see here R0 is equal to 2000, 3000. So this is not possible in the case of move instruction. Move as R0, 2000, 3000 is not at all valid. That requires the data to be in the range 0 to FF. Now if we come to this statement, LDR R1, is equal to num. Now that we have declared a memory in the random access memory, so this will have an address. So num1 will have an address, starting address, such that its starting address will, the num1 address will be equal to the address where 21 is to be located, and this will be at some locations far away from this location, and this will be at some locations far away with respect to this location, and that depends on the directive we are going to use here, and we are going to see this very soon what it happens and when. Now we are going to see that LDR R1 is equal to num. R1 will be loaded with the address of this num1 label. So now it is 4x000. So it is the starting address for the RAM. Random access memory starts at this location. So that location has been assigned to the variable num1. Now the next step is R3 is loaded with 44, that is the hexadecimal equivalent 2C. Now LDR R4, R1. Actually what should happen here is R1 is carrying this address 1FF0000, and the value present at this location is to be loaded to R4, and we can see here in this memory window we can see this is going to be the starting address of the SRAM, and we are seeing only zeros in this memory location. So this is so because of the fact that random access memory needs whenever a program is in execution. Okay, and at the time of dumping the program, this will not at all be affecting the random access memory locations. So we all need to know that there is need to know that random access memory can be used only when the program is executing. Read-only memory can be used only when a program is being dumped into the memory. That means whenever we are going to dump this program into the microcontroller development board, random read-only memory is accessed and it is written into the memory, and later on after during execution of the program, no part of this code memory can be changed by the execution part. I think sorry for the delay. So we have seen that, and the point to be noted here is random access memory will be accessed only during execution, and read-only memory will be accessed only during dumping of the program into the development board. So because this program will be dumped into the read-only memory, this will be in these locations. You can see here now the PC is at the location FA. If we type here some FA or F5 like this, we are going to see some opcodes here. These are called the opcode. These are the machine language codes that are generated by this assembler. And we can see here, so this R0, earlier R0 is equal to num, is at the location F4. If we see for F4 here, now it is, the opcode is 4802. So 4802 is 4802. And for this instruction the opcode is 4903. You can see here 4903. And this is the program memory and this is the data memory. Program memory will be accessed while writing the data to it. That means when you are dumping a program into the microcontroller, this is going to be changed, and this will not be changed while during execution. So now we are in execution part. In this execution part we cannot change the part of this code memory. Only thing we have in our hands is the random access memory, which needs to be read or write during execution only. And while we are dumping this program, this will also be getting dumped into that memory, but this will not affect the RAM location because RAM is accessed only during execution and not during dumping of program. So even if you write some other data here, that is not going to be reflected at these memory locations. Now we are going to see that R1, the first location 1 FFFF0000 is having data value 0, but R4 is having some 0 value, so it will not change. So there is no change in the R4 value and it has come to stop. Now we are going to see some more operations with this BCD directive. Now I am going to remove this segment and I am going to place it in the code memory section. Now we can observe what is going to be happening and where you will get the difference in these two operations. Again going into debugging mode, again starting running this program. It will stop at this breakpoint. LDR R0 is equal to num 2000 3000 and it is now 0000FC. Earlier it was 1 4Fs 3 zeros because earlier we have declared that memory in random access memory. Now we are declaring that memory in read-only memory, so it will be a part of the program only. Now we can see here at FC the data present is 00000021. So it is the 21 hexadecimal number that is being stored in this memory location, and in the next consecutive location we are storing 35 in hexadecimal number. So 00000035 is the hexadecimal number for this one, and the next location is 335. 335 is 000001 and 4F. 014F is the hexadecimal equivalent of these 335. Now we can see that because this segment is in code segment, it has been written to the program memory and this cannot be changed. So we have to keep in mind that once we have declared a memory location in the RAM read-only memory, then none of the operations could change the value present at these data locations. So we cannot change this value to some other value. This value will always be 21 forever, and this value will be 35 forever, and this value will be 335 decimal forever. This cannot be changed. As such, the entire code memory cannot be changed during execution only. They can be changed only during dumping of the program. Now we can see, now the instruction that is being executed here is this instruction. R3 will be loaded with 44, and now we can see LDR R3 comma R1. Now R3 should get changed to the value that is being pointed to by the value present in R1. R1 is having FC. Now FC is having the data 21. Now we are supposed to get 21 in this register. Now we can see here DCD 21 is being decoded as DCW 0x021 and DCW 0x00. These two instructions combinedly form this DCD21 instruction, and these two instructions together form DCD 0x35, and these two instructions together form DCD 335. Here one more we can note the change was, here we have written DCD, but here it is DCW, and we are having another directive called DCB also, and I can write here, so DCD for defining a word. So word is of 32-bit capacity, DCB for half word 16-bit, sorry, it is not DCB, it is DCW. For a byte which is 8-bit. So in this way we can use the directives DCD or DCW or DCB depending on our need and requirement. Now we are going to look about the instruction LDMIA and STMIA. So we have been using this LDR instruction in this program, and its counterpart STR will be the same, and STR will be like this: STR R4 R3 comma R1. So as we have already seen that in all the microcontroller assembly language programmings, the data flow will be from right to left, but in case of ARM assembly language program, only for this storing instruction, the data direction will be from left to right. So here strr3, R1 will do this thing. The data present in R3 is loaded to the address location that is being pointed to by the value present in R1. So here I can write data in R3 is stored to the address location pointed to by the value in R1. Suppose if R1 is carrying some data 000021, now the data present in R3 is the data present in R3 is stored to the location 21 hexadecimal. So this is the meaning of this instruction. Only in store instruction we are going to get the data flow from left to right. Rest all of the instructions are from right to left. And now we are going to see about LDMIA and STMIA. Prior to going to those instructions, some more instructions with LDR can be used. They are LDR R4, R1 comma hash 4 LDR R5 comma R1 comma hash 4 LDR R6 comma R1 comma hash 4 exclamation mark. So in this way we can use the LDR instruction in three different kinds, and let us see what happens when we are going to compile this instruction. So specified addressing mode not available, specified addressing mode not available. It means that ARM Cortex M0 Plus processor is not having this type of addressing mode. So this type of addressing mode can be found in M3 and M4 processors. So for now we are going to eliminate these two instructions in our program. Now here we have seen that value present at the location pointed to by R1 is loaded to R3. In the same way, we are going to get a slight change in this instruction. Value at the location pointed to by R1 plus 4 is loaded to R4, keeping R1 unchanged. So this is the meaning of this instruction. LDR R3, R1 will make the data flow from this memory location pointed to by this value in R1 to R3, whereas LDR R4, R1, hash 4 will make the data flow from the location pointed to by R1 plus 4 without updating the value of R1. It will just look for the location R1 plus 4, and the data present at this location is being loaded to R4. If you are going to give some other number here, then the respective data will be loaded to the register R4. This is the difference between these two types of loading instructions. Now we are going to see something about LDMIA and STMIA. To illustrate the use of LDMIA and STMIA, I am going to use some more data here. 112.555.666, and I am going to have another segment here. So num2 BCD 0, 0, 0, 0. We did not give any data here when we are defining this memory block as a data memory block. When we are defining a memory block as this data memory block, we need not provide any number here for this BCD directive, because anyway if you are going to provide any numbers here, that will automatically be loaded as 00000000, because random access memory comes into play only when during execution and not during dumping of the program. Now we are going to use this LDMIA. The syntax of LDMIA instruction is like this. Now R0 is having the address of num1, so I am using R1 is having the address of num1, R1, R3 to R5, and LDR R1, equal to STMIA R1. So this is the end of our program. I am just trying to illustrate you the use of this LDMIA, STMIA in different contexts. Now we are having two different contexts. One is the writing of data memory into this read-only memory, and one is the reading of memory from this random access memory for the very first time after dumping the program. I am going to show you how it is going to be executed now. Again, I am going to run this program so that it will stop at this breakpoint. Now we are going to have, as usual, R0 is loaded with 2000, 3000 hexadecimal, and for this one, R1 is loaded with the location 104, and in this memory window, if you see for 104, we are having this data 21, here 21, 35, 35, 335, 14F, and for 112 it is 70, 555, 02, 2B, and 666, it is 0298. Now we have got the required data into this read-only memory during dumping of the program, and we haven't got anything in this data memory. Now I am going to load R3 with the value 44, that is 2C. Now this instruction LDMIA, what it does is it will load the value present in the location pointed to by this register into the registers R3, R4, R5, and this is the syntax for LDMIA, and this needs to be between the range R0 to R7. We are not supposed to go beyond R7. So R3 to R8 will give you an error. R3 to R7 is allowed, and it is called load multiple increment after. So it will load multiple locations. It will load these registers from multiple locations at the same time. We will not be able to see the changes that are going to be taken place in R3, R4, R5 individually. Rather, we are going to see in one flash that R3, R4, R5 are loaded with the values present at these locations. Now, increment after will make the value present in R1 to be incremented after loading these registers with the required values. Now we can see that R1 is pointing to 104 location, 104 location is having 21, 108 location is 35, 10C location is 14F. Now R3 will be loaded with 21, R4 will be loaded with 35, R5 will be loaded with 14F, and for each step R1 keeps on incrementing by 4. So earlier R1, right now R1 is in this location. When R3 is loaded with 21, R1 moves to this location. When R4 is loaded with 35, R5 moves to this location. R1 moves to this location. When R5 gets loaded with 14F, R1 moves to this location. So that after the execution of this statement, we are now supposed to get a value 00000070 into this memory location. We are supposed to get 110 into this memory location, and now we are going to see the change here. We see R1 is having 104, it is to be changed to 110, and you can notice the change here. R1 has become 110, and R3, R4, R5 has been loaded with these values. Now R1 is at 110 location, and at 110 location we are having 70, that means 1112, 555 and 666. Now what happens if we execute this statement? Actually this statement is store multiple increment after. In the same way it reacts. So it will take the present location for R1 and it will store the data present in R3, R4, R5 into continuous memory locations. So after this location, this 21 was supposed to be at this location, 35 was supposed to be stored at this location, 14F was supposed to be stored at this location, which will not happen in our case because we are trying to write a data into this read-only memory during execution. And you can notice the change. This will not get changed to new values. And you can see that there is no change in these values because it is a read-only memory. And now we are going to load R1 is equal to num2, so that you are going to get 1 4F000. It is the starting address location for the SRAM memory. Now LDMIA. So LDMIA R1 is pointing to this location as earlier. It will behave in the same way. R3, R4, R5 gets loaded with the values present in these three locations, which are only zeros. And you can notice the change here, all are zeros now, and the register pointer has been incremented to 0C. Now the pointer is at this location. If you are going to execute this STMIA instruction, now the values present in R3, R4, R5 will be loaded, stored to this memory location, these three memory locations. Even if you have some data like this, I will enter some data, and this data needs to be changed to 000 after execution of this statement, and you can see that all have become 0. This is the operation with read-only memory and random access memory. Now we are going to stop our debug session, and with this I think we have seen more about this LDR and STR, LDMIA and STMIA instructions, and how to load a 32-bit directly into a register with the help of load instruction. And thank you for watching this tutorial. You will see the rest of the things in the next tutorial.